Hey and welcome to the tutorial. Today I will show you how to create this cool looking PlayStation logo inside Microsoft PowerPoint. So the left one is an image, the right one is the creation done in Microsoft PowerPoint. So let's get started. I will start in the blank presentation. I already have this logo in here, and how we will do this logo today is we will try to trace the letter P and letter S and then somehow rotate it in the 3D space. So obviously I would start with the rectangle, so I will insert shapes rectangle. And you don't need to follow this right now because that's just an example. Then I will insert a new shape, being this flowchart delay. I will draw it like this. I will group those two shapes together, right click, select format shape, and in the 3D, in the effects and in the 3D rotation, I will select this left isometric view, of course, rotate it a little bit. You know, it kind of looks similar to this shape, but it would be pretty hard to get the shape right, because once we have a group being rotated in the 3D space, we can select individual pieces, we can set the fill and outline colors. What we cannot do is we cannot set the size. You can see everything is grayed out. Once you have it rotated in the 3D space, there is no way how to resize those shapes. The only thing which we can do is we can actually move those shapes around. So as you can see, it's kind of helpful to move them around, but most of the time I would like to even change the size. So instead of doing it like this, I would start with the individual pieces. So I would start with the rectangle, and I will just focus on the rectangle first. So I will open the effects, and in the 3D rotation I will set the left isometric view and rotate it to maybe like Y to be maybe like 20 seems about right. So now when I only have one object being rotated in the 3D space, I can actually resize it, which is great. So I will zoom in as much as I can, maybe not that much of course, so I want to see the letter P as a whole, and I will try to match the size. So maybe I will increase the transparency for the fill, just so I can see the bottom picture, the logo, and I will try to set the size somehow around, you know, the size of the pillar. You can see that the rotation is just a little bit different, but that doesn't matter that much. We can still change it later on. Okay, so that seems about right. Then I will insert a new shape, being this flowchart delay, and I will draw it with the shift key being pressed. Of course, I will increase the transparency a little bit, and in the effects I will set the very same 3D view, so isometric left down view, and the Y rotation was 20 degrees. Okay, I will try to somehow match the size. You can see the shape is a little bit different. Seems like they either trace it, you know, in the different way, or just use a different shape, or is not, you know, just based on this gap in here. It almost seems like that it's not even in the 3D rotated shape, it's just a 2D shape. Anyway, we will use a 3D rotated shape. Now we will trace the gap in here, so I will insert a new rectangle. Again, I will set the very same view, and I will just try to guess the size, which seems about right. So I will select all three shapes, and I will actually reset the 3D rotation. So I can do it probably in here. I will hit reset. Now everything is, you know, made from individual pieces, so I'll try to somehow align everything together. Not quite sure what should be the exposition, so I will just keep it there. We can still move it around. I will group all three pieces together and select the very same rotation, so left one 20 degrees. Okay, so the only thing I need to do is to move this shape a little bit to the right side, but otherwise everything seems about fine. So the final piece will be to add this around this gap. I will first, before ungrouping, I will reset the 3D view. I will ungroup everything and draw a new circle. So I will draw a new oval with the shift key being pressed, trying to match this gap in here, like this. Then I will merge those two shapes together, merge those two shapes together, and subtract this gap from the main shape. So merge shapes, subtract. Now I have the P letter, which hopefully should resemble the letter in the original logo. So I will just quickly try to do it. I will open the 3D rotation, select the isometric left down view, rotate it by 20 degrees, and seems about it right. You know, it's not exactly the same, but it's very similar. So what I will do is I will set the fill to be the same fill. So for the fill, I will use the eyedropper tool and sample the red color, and line should be no line. And I can use the very same technique to focus on the letter S. So I'll most likely move this, you know, somewhere around here, just so I have more space in here. So again, I will do the letter S from individual pieces, but before I do that, I will try to guess the sizes, at least for those straight lines. Now, one thing to notice is when you look closely, and that was, you know, actually causing me a lot of troubles when I was trying to trace this logo previously. If you see, you know, this is kind of matching. You know, there is a straight line which is kind of matching the letter P, but if I move this line up here, you can see that the top part of the bottom part of the letter S is actually not being aligned with the letter P. So the width of the line of the bottom stem of the letter S is actually a little bit smaller than the letter P, which is something to keep in mind, because previously I was trying to just reuse this rectangle shape for the P letter. Seems like it's a little bit smaller. So I'll insert a new shape, being the rectangle, of course, and I'll increase the transparency a little bit. And in the 3D rotation, I will select another preset, not the left one, but actually the top one. So 3D rotation, I will select this top one. And you can see that those rotations are kind of different, so it's hard to guess the angle. So instead of just typing in the angle, I know that I've clicked one of those buttons 3 times. So I will click 1, 2, 3, and I should get the very same rotation. You can see it's kind of matching this P letter shape. So that's the way how to get the very same looking rotation. So now I will just position it properly, resize it more to the top, like this. Okay, this seems about right, and more to the right. Seems like here is where the curvature is starting. I will duplicate this shape one more time, and I will trace the size of the gap. So again, I will move it over the gap and just resize it until I will have the very same size, like this. Okay, that seems about right. So I will zoom out. I will move those 2 shapes to the side and select reset the 3D rotation. Now I know that this part is this bottom part, that this yellow together with the green, then should be some kind of curvature. This is the gap between those parts. So I will place the gap next to the bottom part and actually duplicate the bottom part 3 times, because as you can see, it's made like from 3 different stripes. Okay, I don't need this gap anymore. I guess maybe I will keep it there. So I will just change the color for those to a different one, maybe black, just so it's a little bit different. Maybe this should be very light gray, because it will be white later on. Now I need this curvature, which I will most likely use the very same shape I was using for the P letter. So I'll insert a new shape, being this flowchart delay, and I will try to draw it going from this shape to the other one, like this. Move it to the right side, duplicate one more time, rotate it by 180 degrees, holding the shift key on my keyboard, and somehow align it with the top 2. I probably don't want to align it more, all the way to the left. It's going to the left, but probably not that much, so I'll maybe move it like this. Resize those shapes just so they are not going outside. If I can select this shape, I will probably have to show the selection pane to select the second rectangle, like this. And this will be a gap later on, so I can move it over the delay, as well as this one. This will be a gap later on. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with the shape. What I can do is I can select everything, actually group it, and try to test it in a 3D space. So in the format, I will open the 3D rotation and set this to top view, and of course click the Y rotation button 3 times, so 1, 2, 3. And let's try to actually move it below our freeform shape to see, not this logo, but our freeform shape, to see how it matches. Okay, so the good thing is that the right part seems just about right. It's below this top part of the letter P, and it goes outside. Seems like the left part goes too much to the left, but since we have this done from individual objects, I can most likely select those parts and just move it. So I will open this group, and I believe it's one of those delays. So this is one of those delays, and I need to select also those 2 rectangles. So this is one of those rectangles. No, this is one of those, the delay and the top rectangle, and I can press the right arrow key on my keyboard and just simply move it more to the right, like this. Okay, this seems much better. So I'm pretty happy with the shape. So the only thing is to add those rounded parts inside and actually merge everything together. So what I will do is I will zoom out. Actually, maybe hide this layer. I will reset the 3D rotation. So in the 3D rotation, I will hit reset. I will zoom in and I will add those rounded parts, which will be of course done using the ellipses. I can also see that this rectangle is going too much outside, so I'll make this smaller. I will insert a new shape, being the oval, with the shift key being pressed just so it's a circle, matching this in between line, and I'll move it like this, maybe a little bit more to the right. Then I will use the very same oval for this gap in here. Okay, this seems alright. Maybe just a tiny bit to the right side. ungroup this entire group, and now it's time to start merging things together. So I will select a rectangle, the delay rectangle, and the in-between rectangle, and I will merge everything together. So I will select format, merge shapes, union. Then I will select this rectangle used for gap, the circle, and the gap, and I will also merge those together. Then I will select the main shape, the gap shape, and select merge shapes, subtract, so it will give me this S shape letter. I can set the line to no line, and I will keep the fill for now to be the gray one. Now before I set the right fill, one more time I will quickly try to test this in the right 3D view. So 1, 2, 3. I will show this shape. Everything seems perfect. So now the only missing part is to make sure that the S letter is made from 3 stripes. I can do it in a few different ways. One of the way would be just to place rectangles. So I will insert shapes, rectangle. I will draw the rectangle like this. Then I will select merge shapes, fragment, which will just give me a lot of fragments, and then I can set the individual pieces to different colors, which is of course probably a good way. The other way is, if you want to keep the S shape as one piece, would be to insert a new, set a new gradient fill instead of a solid fill. So I can select the shape, and I'll move this to the side. So I will select this S shape, and I will change the fill from the solid fill to gradient fill. Now the first step will be this yellow, so I will use the eyedropper tool to sample the yellow color. The second step will be this green, but I actually need this step to be there twice, so the third step would be green as well, and the last step would be of course this blue. Now since it's done from 3 different pieces, the positions would be 33% and 66%. So this one be 33%, this one would be 66%, and I want those second steps to be as close as possible to the other ones, just so there is this strong transition. So I can try to select this one and set the 33% as well. Seems like it's working, so that's great. So I will do the same for this one. This one should be 66. As you can see, there's this straight transition between those two colors. So the only thing missing is set to angle to be 0%, so just it goes from left to right. And then I will set the 3D rotation to be from top, click the Y rotation 3 times, and just position everything properly over the the P letter over the S letter. And I think that we are done. So in like 12 minutes we were able to replicate the PlayStation logo inside Microsoft PowerPoint, done in a way that you can use the same technique for actually any letter if you want. And again, you can see that the shape is not kind of matching. The funny thing is that the gap inside the P letter is actually a real 3D shape. Seems like that the gap inside the P letter on the original logo on the left side, it's more like the just the oval drawn in the 2D space just being overlaid on the P letter. Anyway, that's it. That's how you create a cool looking PlayStation logo inside Microsoft PowerPoint. Thanks for watching.